What are we looking here today? What are we looking for?
All right, so last time I had come in was my first session where you gave me my wake up call
Yep.
to play with intensity.
Yep.
I really focused on that for the first like week and 2 weeks after our session, and I had a
Hmm.
lot of success with that.
Great.
So I feel like at least early game, I'm not exactly sure this game how the early game went because it's very like details oriented matchup, but I feel like in general my early games have really like cleaned up
Hmm.
ever since really like making sure I'm going into my 3 block like prepared and ready
Yep.
to like get these wins basically and to play as good as I can.
Excellent.
Um, the only hitch that I've been getting into recently is just I feel like in the mid game I picked this VOD because this is a game where we do end up winning and I do pretty well at least like stats wise, but I felt like the game was much harder than it had to be and
Mm.
that in a lot of my games, there's more I could be doing to make my wins easier. Because it feels like recently that my losses are like really hard losses, and then my wins are like hard fought wins. Like the free
Hmm.
wins are like very far and few between.
Okay. Well, that also could be more relating to the type of champ Victor is, right? Victor isn't one of those classic stomp mid, get 1,000 kills and snowball and end the game, is it? Right? It's more of like, okay, I'm gonna be relentless and I'm gonna play off my spikes and I'm gonna kind of dominate you in the mid game. So it could also be
Hmm.
that as well, right? But we'll keep an eye on it. We'll take a look. Now, this
Okay.
Vlad has gone D Shield. So already, straight away, D Shield Vlad, you're not really going to get too much done um, early here. It's just about farming, getting to Lost Chapter, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep. Lovely. Was that your hypothesis as well?
Yeah, I didn't want to because normally I would try to like hard trade in this matchup and
Mm-hmm.
really look to keep him low as possible since he doesn't heal too much early.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I realized early on that my trades weren't really budging his HP bar much.
No, no. That's fine. If he goes D shield, he's fine. I mean, he's delaying his spikes massively. He's going to do way less damage, and he's got phase rush as well. So his damage is going to be really pitiful, even at level 6 as well. So focus on keeping a somewhat neutral wave state, maybe even slightly on your side, and just relax, farm up a storm. The one thing I'm noticing though is that you're playing directly into his empowered Q. You shouldn't be walking up like this when he has his empowered Q. Um, yeah, I mean, in that case, it was actually okay because you're kind of making him make a choice between you and the cannon, but just moving forward, something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah, in general, my game plan was to keep it either, like you said, either neutral, but I wanted to keep it on my side. But I
Yep.
think I let him build up too big of waves sometimes, like here, where it got
Mm,
like kind of sketchy to hold it.
yeah.
I mean, here wasn't too bad, but I think there's some cases later on where my minions are further away and I take more. I either have to choose between taking damage
Right.
between wave or risking like the crash.
Yeah, these Qs should be high value, shouldn't they? They shouldn't just be on the Victor. I mean, on the Vlad, sorry. They should be high value. They should be going through these range creeps onto the Vlad.
Mhm. Yeah, I think I misclicked that.
Well, the thing is with Vlad, it's generally quite easy to manage waves into a Vlad because his wave clear is so shit. That's the biggest weakness of Vlad. It's that wave clear. So it should be quite easy. As long as you use your E in a high value fashion, you should be okay.
Hmm.
I'm not a big fan of this trade specifically because, I mean, you don't have your mana flow, you don't have your first strike. I mean, it's kind of average.
Okay, yeah. So I just shouldn't even like let's just back off there instead of just like taking the Q trade.
Yeah, personally, but that's okay. And because ideally you want to elongate this one to 1,300, right? That would be the goal.
Hmm.
Okay. So this is going pretty good, pretty straightforward. Right, so we'll skim through this a little bit. This is okay. So you're pretty happy with this early lane, right?
Yeah, well there is some very sketchy stuff that happens, I think, soon here in a little bit when I try to crash this.
Okay.
There's some suspicious activity.
I'm not a big fan of what you do here. I think we should have been a little bit more patient with the slow build. I think here we could have stacked one more wave, 100%.
Okay.
And I
Yeah.
think just a side note here as well. I think what I would do, given that you're staying in lane for so long, I would actually just chill here, last hit, and wait to 6. And then at 6, I would R the wave. Here, I already know, like, straight up that this is not going to work. Right?
Okay.
The reason this is the case is because if you use your mana with your E here, like on the wave, like you do here, and you try to get this wave in, you're not going to have enough damage or like threat onto the Vlad to prevent him from pulling the wave.
Okay.
Right? You're just not.
Yeah. I
Right?
mean, that's what ends up happening. Yeah.
So, like, this takes time. This is something that you need to keep an eye on in your reviews. For me, I think I've built that muscle memory. For you, it doesn't seem to be there yet. It's a feeling.
Yeah.
It's I just know you don't have enough wave clear. So, like, don't overcomplicate it. Just look at it. Like, all right, yeah, that sucks. Probably should have stacked one more wave or just waited until I hit 6. Because now you don't even have enough mana for your... is other wave... Yep.
I was waiting here to get mana for it.
I missed the cannon. Okay. That is what it is. I would suck it up probably as well. Like, I would say, fuck it. If you want to freeze, you can freeze.
Okay. Yeah, because I I end up staying. I'm not exactly sure. I think I just wanted to push this again, I think. I don't know why.
Okay, well, you end up...
I guess because he was low, but then I end up getting, I get ganked.
I mean, look, if you're going to do this, don't hit the Vlad. Hit the wave. Just hit the wave, hit the wave, hit the wave, hit the wave.
Yeah.
You could have just EQ'd the wave here, right? But you're not. You're holding on to it. You're trying to use it on the Vlad. Yeah. Yeah, so all of this, it's a feel thing, and it will come with time. You just need to be hard on yourself in the review and identify those moments where you are in an awkward situation and pinpoint specifically what wave it was that kind of got you in that situation.
Yeah.
Okay, looks like a little bit of shenanigans. Shyvana gets a triple kill. That's absolutely massive. And by the way, that like the whole balancing and the balancing act of rationing out your mana and thinking about how you're going to get a reset and all that, it's like an art. Like it takes time. Like once you get the feel down for it, you'll be fine. Okay.
Yeah, I find that I struggle in matchups like this, like against like manaless champs or against champs that use a lot less or less mana intensive than me. Yeah, where it's just like because against like mage matchups, obviously I can see their mana bar and be like, okay, I can take a reset here soon or something. But here I have to think way ahead in advance.
I see what you mean. Yeah, I mean, this is okay. I mean, I think it's fine. Wukong comes. How could we have played this maybe a little bit differently? That was fine.
I could have probably flashed here. I just didn't expect his like long range, his last Q that he hit on me.
And also the R was not optimal.
Yeah.
I think you could have, just kited down as well. Rather than like stay in auto attack, you could have kited through your W. Like just go that way. Through your W.
Yeah.
And you probably would have
maybe flash the wall if I need to, but in the
well,
case I'm like getting space. Yeah. Okay.
But not the end of the world. That does give you your E upgrade, which is great. And Shyvana is a huge win con for you. Bot lane gets a kill as well. Nice.
Yeah, at this point I'm thinking that if I'm playing to accompany my Shyvana with her plays, then that's probably like best case scenario since she's so ahead.
Yeah. I mean, now really it's a matter of getting to your item spikes, good pings. Yeah, I mean, you've got such a reliable win con through the Shyvana. As long as you're fighting with the Shyvana and you're not trying to do anything fancy, keeping yourself safe, getting to your power spikes, you're going to be completely fine. I mean, let's take a look at this one. So we know we're versing a Bard. Bard's very active on the map. We've got to keep that in mind. We end up going for the Scuttle. Where the fuck did Bard come from? How did Bard get there?
He was just in our jungle, I guess.
Did you know Bard was in the area?
I knew like right here I saw him on the minimap, but I
Yeah.
chose to just greed for Scuttle, which is very bad.
Oh no.
It was just I was like, I put this much time into the Scuttle, I might as well take it. But
Yeah.
yeah. I think I have to flash here. I don't remember if I die. Oh, I guess I don't have to flash.
Yeah.
But still, this like screws up my lane tempo. This is one of the other reasons. Like I ended up getting a CS deficit this game, like kind of for no reason, just off the early wave management that you
Yeah.
pointed out, and then also like this.
This is just so silly. it's just
Yeah.
it's just so unnecessary, you know. I mean, for me as well, like I would never do this. I mean, if I'm gonna like, you know, for me, I think if Shyvana's topside, I'm just gonna ward and then lean back on topside. Like I'm not gonna dick around here. It's very. I can't even remember the last time I've done something like this. I mean, it's not bad. It's just random to me. Like Shyvana's moving topside, like doing Rift or some shit, and you're like bot doing Scuttle. It's just very. It's very weird to me, especially when Shyvana's already like your main win con, and you've already got an amazing win con. So yeah, I think you've really kind of overcomplicated this game a little bit. Because like you should have at minimum 9 CS per minute, like at minimum in this matchup. There's no excuse not to, especially with that setup from Vlad.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've dug yourself quite a big hole here, just off that poor CSing. You're behind the curve. All right, well, lucky your side lanes are doing good. GP's going to scale amazingly. Your bot lane's doing an okay job as well. Right now, the biggest threat onto you is actually Bard, I would say. Like, Bard roams onto you, it's going to be quite annoying. Luckily, you still have your flash, though.
I think support roams are still one of the things that I would say is a weakness of mine.
Right.
Because I've gotten a lot better at avoiding jungle ganks. Because that was one of my like big problems I had a little bit ago. But now it's like against stuff like Pike, Bard, like it just seems so random, I guess, to me when I'm watching the map.
I'll give you 2 tools, okay? Just let's go back. Actually, I think it's really important we touch on this.
Okay.
Right, 2 tools that I use myself. Okay, number 1, the mindset. When I'm in a game as an immobile mage and I'm versing a Pike, I'm versing a Bard, I'm versing an Ally. Is there anything else? Probably even a Janna.
Nautilus.
Yep. Yeah, I guess like I would say these are kind of all in one category, but then there's like then there's like Nort Leona, right? But there is those. I would say these are slightly different. I mean, they're relevant, they're good to think about, but these are kind of in another level to me.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, if I'm in loading screen and I see this, already in the game, I'm playing kind of as if I'm versing 2 junglers. Like it's already kind of, you know, when you're really scared of a high threat jungler, I have the same feeling as this. So because it's such like an important threat to me, my instinct or like the way my mind works is that I'm already thinking about, like, where is this person? Where's Pike? Where's Bard? Where are they? Like I'm really thinking about it. Like right now, I'm not just thinking about Wukong. I'm thinking about Bard and Pike or whatever the champion is as well. So it's a mindset, right? That's the first step. The second step, whenever I see anyone missing in bot side, anyone, whether it's AD carry, support, on their team, my team, it doesn't matter. Anyone missing, I automatically assume that the enemy support is going to have a roam timer in the next 20 to 30 seconds. And the reason this is the case is because, you know, if someone's reset, right? If one person is reset, so let's just I'll create a series of situations for you. Let's say the enemy bot lane, they slow build into a reset. Great. But they're going to come through mid before he goes back bot because there's no reason for him to go immediately back bot because the wave, he doesn't need to be there because the wave's just going to bounce back out, right? Second scenario. Let's say AD carry gets caught out. AD carry's dead. What's he going to do? He's not going to jack off in lane by himself. He's probably going to roam. Another situation. They're getting shoved in. They get slow built on, and then by the enemy team, and he feels like his AD carry has enough wave clear to get the wave and get the next wave out because the enemy have reset. He's just going to roam. Or maybe... It doesn't matter. There's like a mass amount of scenarios where as long as one person is reset, it's highly likely that one of the supports, either from your side or their side, is going to be coming mid. So here in this situation, what do we see? No one's in bot lane. Everyone's fucking reset. So chances are that Bard could be coming mid in the next foreseeable future. So that's my toolkit. If I look bot and anyone's missing, okay, they could be coming.
And then how long do you wait before playing aggressive or trying to make a play, just until they show on vision again? Or
yeah, really, I mean, it really depends on but you have to respect pre-6 Bard very different to post-6 Bard. You have to respect Pike different if you have flash or don't have flash. It really depends, and the champ you're with. But it's just like you would as if it's a jungler. It depends. But typically I'll play quite conservative.
So that'd be sort of like a calibration sort of thing,
just
coming back to lane, thinking like, oh, I don't have flash for 2 minutes. Like I should be super careful.
If I don't have flash, if I'm, because I play Bard as well. If I see any mobile mage that doesn't have flash mid, I'm literally spam coming mid at 6. Essentially.
Okay.
Off cooldown. It's just the freest kill. Okay, I like how we're complementing the Shyvana here. I like that we hover. Let's go back here a little bit. So Vlad actually stays. A bit awkward. Bard uses the ult. Alright, that's fine. I think you did a really good job with the hover there. Great W. What the fuck?
Yeah, I don't know. That was a bit too aggressive from that guy.
Yeah, but by the way, if you farm well, Vlad actually can't stat check you with that build. He can only stat check you with the Electro Ignite build. At least in my experience.
Okay. Versus Phase Rush.
Yeah, Phase Rush means that he's playing more for mid-game scaling. He won't have that solo kill threat onto you. Whereas Electro means he's going to, with Ignite especially, he's going to one-shot you at 6. But if you farm well, you should be fine. You should have enough just base stats to not die and tether him out.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Alright, so it turns into a little bit of a fiesta here. Let's just quickly take a look at this. So, we kill the Vlad. We shove this out. Looks like Shiv goes for the red or some shit. Looks like they kind of try to disengage. You get the plates. I think the play's over. I think the only thing you could have done better here is recognize that Jhin was moving up and actually cancel your reset sooner.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, maybe get there a touch sooner. Oh, no. Shut down onto Ezreal. And we have to burn both sums. Okay, so that kind of turns the game on its head. But you still got GP in your back pocket as well, so it should be fine. So now you have no flash. Bot's missing. You're very vulnerable right now. Very, very vulnerable.
Especially with the way he's playing. And yeah, Bard shows up. He doesn't do anything, but he does show up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, trade kills, but it was a level. He was He was a level up on you here. He's level 11. He had that level 2 ult. So, I mean, you could kind of see by the way he was posturing that he was looking for something anyway. It's hard to know whether or not he would go for the all-in, though. And if Bard didn't tank, he would have died way sooner. So, yeah, it is what it is. I mean, right now, we're just suffering the consequences of shitty farm. That's really what it is. And by the way, just like a little side note. In this game, like, you're also getting punished from having poor farm because you went a very expensive build. You can't afford to, like, if I'm ever behind on farm, by the way, like, I hate building Leandries. It just feels terrible because it's like the build path, Leandries into Cosmic Drive is so expensive. And think about it, you're literally getting 0 HP for ages. Like, they get your
I'm stuck on Leandries for so long.
Yeah, you get Leandries, tier 1 boots, and you get the Ether Wisp, and you get the Fiendish Codex, but you got no HP. Like, you're so squishy for so long. And so if you get behind the curve against anyone that has all-in threat, like a Vlad, that's why it's actually bad. So typically for me, I mean, in this game, you kind of don't have a choice because they're so tanky, you kind of need it. But that's why it's so unfortunate, this game. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, I see your point.
All right, turns into a scrappy 2v2. Should be able to run out of this one. Lovely. Vlad going sicko mode. And I'm assuming right now your main focus was on just like the Shyvana, right? Shyvana and GP? Or what were you
I wasn't thinking about GP much, to be honest, at all. I like just ignored topside.
Yeah,
I was just thinking about my Shyvana.
Yeah. Okay, Dragon's about to come up. I don't think it's good that you reset, but Vlad shows top, so that's okay. We take the Raptors. Okay, now you've got your 2 items. Now you're online. Should be a pretty free win from here. As long as you don't get caught off by a Bard ult, you got both Psalms, got 2 items. Easy. Very simple. So swap the lane assignments. Get Jhin mid, you go side. You're in a very good spot here. Okay.
A bunch of random hard trading happens.
Why do you want to do this?
I guess because I just got 2 items, I was feeling strong, but
right.
Yeah, I don't gain. Like, I'm fighting for nothing.
Yeah, that doesn't benefit you. Just relax, play around the Shyvana. You don't need to do anything fancy. Like, your priority here should be fixing the lane assignments. Fuck everything else. Catch the wave, fix the lane assignments. Alright, well that turns into an absolute fiesta. Finally, we're in top. Jhin still in the side lane, unfortunately. Yep.
Yeah, I should be matching this Garen way before.
Yep, but here is actually okay because Shyvana is now going crazy. This is great. Nice little W there. That's Baron. That should be Baron right there. Baron, 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 Baron. Easy. Oh, okay.
I think we don't end up getting it.
Alright, so again, I've had this last week I said I swear I spoke about this so many times and it's just an absolute fundamental. Right? You'll see me in my games be absolutely obsessed with Baron. Baron for me, like it's actually a skill. Like it's like a skill set. Learning how to call for Baron and learning how to see Baron, is actually a skill. So here in this situation, right? You'll see in my VODs when I play, even before the fight is over, sometimes I'm literally already pinging Baron. That's how much I want it. Like, I'm already pinging it sometimes. So here in this situation, we've killed the AD carry. We've chunked the jungler. The jungler just portaled out. Already, basically, now I'm pinging assistance, like probably walking out while pinging assistance on the dragon. Baron...
Yeah, even without the Wukong death, it's still just free.
It's fine.
From this position.
Remember,
okay.
Baron leads to towers. Towers don't lead to Baron. Okay, that's like a fundamental you can follow. If you can get Baron, always get Baron over towers. But now you guys dick around, you stay for the red, you stay for tier 2 mid. It's just a complete waste of time. That would just end the game right there. If you were to get Baron, it's end of review.
Yeah, you're right.
Alright, so we overstay here a little bit. Okay. Dragon coming up at 30. I'm assuming he just felt like you weren't needed. Like they weren't going to contest it anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought maybe I had TP, but I didn't run TP this game, so I guess I was just here.
Okay. So we do the Baron when they're all up. This one's a bit risky because Vlad can just kind of get on top of you and they can create a lot of space for Vlad.
Yeah.
It's weird to me how you guys do Baron now, but not earlier. Yeah. Bit silly. So, you know, there's no need to rush here. I mean, they're still alive. Wukong's here. Vlad's here. I mean, Ezreal is just going to poke your ass. I don't really see where this is coming from. I mean, to me, this looks like you're just going with the flow, right? It's just going with the flow. So next time, I mean, when they're all alive, you know this. Just shove mid, shove top, get vision out, make a pick, do anything else but start the Baron. Because your turn is dog shit. You've literally got the worst turn. You don't have turn. I mean, your turn is just terrible. You want the enemy to come to you, but not when you're actually in the pit and Vlad can just go crazy. So yeah, very silly. Very simple. They ace you. Pretty straightforward. They get Baron.
I think this also boils down to one of my like core learning objectives I've had for myself in the past week of like really being more confident in making calls for my team, but also calling off things. Like I feel like in a lot of games, I do it more so I think in my Viktor games where I'll actually be calling for what I want, but in games where I'm playing something like Ari, I feel like a lot of the time I'm just going with what my team does, and like if it's int, then it's int, and I just like will go with it.
You'll do it no matter what. Yeah.
I don't know. Like it just feels like my mindset when that's happening is that like my team is already in too deep and committed that like that backing off would be a worse choice almost.
That seems to be a common trend in your games, isn't it? It's like you're buying into that whole sunk cost fallacy, isn't it? Same thing with the scuttle. It's like, well, I've got this far. I've got it to 3/4 HP, quarter HP. I've got to commit, right? So, I mean, yeah.
I was gonna ask, does that come from foresight of like seeing that my team is about to do Baron and then trying like being conscious of catching these things before they happen, or should I just commit to like telling off plays that I know are bad but my team is going for it anyways, stuff like that?
Look, when it comes to when it comes to these sorts of plays, I would say it's two main areas. The first one is a lot of people who play League play it in a very like it's like the whole shift blame mentality. It's like they don't want to be the one that's taking responsibility for the game because it's easier to sit back and then lose or a bad thing happens and then blame other people on the team. It's like subconscious. It's like especially when you played the game for a long time. It's like a lack of taking responsibility. And people don't really resonate with the mindset of like, okay, I should be like genuinely taking control and telling my team what I want. Like they don't resonate with that. People find that really like jarring. So I think there's an element of this, and it's just like uncomfortable for you, and it's just against your current nature and view of the game, as well as your current understanding of the game, and you not having enough painful experiences in the past with that specific problem, or at least you having those painful experiences but not realizing that why they happened, like understanding the why behind them. So like a lack of experience, I guess, painful experiences. Because for me, right, I mean, let's if we just quickly go back to the Baron call, right? Okay, so there's there's two different problems here, right? Potentially. The first one being, you know this is a bad play, but you're doing it anyway, which means that this is like that. That's a red flag here, right? You're taking a back seat. You don't want to take responsibility. You know, you don't want to be the center of attention, whatever. So there's that. Or it's like, okay, you actually thought this was a good call and you're actually happy to go with it. So it's actually that this is your level of play. You genuinely thought that this was a good play, in which case this actually had nothing to do with you lack of taking responsibility. It's all this. It's just a bad call, and you just genuinely don't know why this is a bad call. But you would review them in differing ways, wouldn't you? If it's a lack of taking responsibility, you would look at it and be like, well, what the fuck was I thinking? Like, I need to take control before this. I need to ping this off way in advance. I should be directing my attention here and here and here. And this is what we should be doing instead. If it's this, and you genuinely know it's didn't know it was a bad play, then you look at it and be like, well, what made this such a bad play, and why did I think this was a good play, and what we should be doing in an alternate reality.
Okay.
It could be a combination of both, though. You know, it could be a little bit of both.
Yeah, I think I'd say it's probably is a little bit of both. Where, because I know I play like collegiate as well, like on comp teams and stuff, and I sort of am the same way where I won't be super vocal or making like definitive calls. So I know some of that comes into play of like not wanting to be the shot caller that like makes the mistake for the team. But then also it's just a lot of the times I'll be in a situation like this that's like a coin flip almost, or just like maybe like a 60-40, or just like something that's like not a guaranteed win, and I'll sort of just not be entirely sure how it'll end up, but I'll just play along and see how it does end up. Like,
no, were you there for the last review that I just did with Z Drive?
Yeah.
It's the same shit, isn't it? Like, this is the thing. It's like, I feel like when I do these D2 reviews sometimes, this is deja vu. Just insert the next D2 gamer. Like, it doesn't matter what the fuck, where you're from, what certain... It's very, very similar, right? It's a combination of generally not taking responsibility and, like, actually having that commander mindset and, like, saying what you want, right? Especially when you're a key carry in the game. In combination with a lack of win con assessment. Now, within this win con assessment and these decisions, sure, there's minor pieces of information that you don't understand, right? Like, it could be, because for me, it's like, it's a no-brainer. You're versing a Vlad Wukong. You're in a mobile mage. Why the fuck would we want to fight in the pit versus Vlad Wukong? Like, it's so obvious that I would never make this call, right? So, but that's me. That's based off my experiences. So then for me, you looking at this, it's like, well, there's something missing here. Why is it for me that it's so clear to never ever make this play, where for you, you're happy to make the play? So there's actually some piece of information here. There's some like legit game information, whether it's understanding about another champ, whether it's understanding about your comp, whether it's not understanding alternatives, whatever it might be. There's something missing here from a win con perspective and just little pieces of information. But at the end of the day, this is all tying back to what you need to do to win the game. Like, if we go back all the way here, right? This is where you need to be thinking, like, how am I going to win? Like, what do I need to do to win this game? For me, you're completely fine. Like, you've got full control over objectives. You're going to secure that dragon. You're going to have Dragon Soul as a win con. You've got a Fed Shyvana GP. You've got a really good front to back. So as long as you guys front to back, but don't give Vlad like backline access, it's a free win. Really, you know, so as long as you don't do anything crazy, like in your case, start the Baron, get control, keep farming up a Storm, play off your spikes, keep stacking dragons.
Yeah, just getting impatient sort of thing.
Yeah, but remember, like, my patience comes from a look at the comp. Like, it's not like I'm just patient for the sake of being patient. I'm patient because I'm confident in our ability to scale. Right? Like, it's not like I'm just pulling it out of my ass. Like, it comes from me looking at the comps. So like, this is where that journey, this is where, you know, people don't get reviews sometimes, where it's like, reviewing is less about, reviewing is really good at your, like, especially for D2 players, it's like absolutely crucial, because you've got the basics down, right? You should have good baseline understanding of your champ. You have decent fundamentals. You have decent matchup understanding. Like, all that stuff's there. But, like, there's these pivotal decisions that are being made that, like, should uncover all the bullshit. Like, you go to these pivotal decisions that fuck the game, whether in Z-Drive's case it was, like, you know, mindlessly not fighting the dragon or not splitting the map and playing towards the Gragas, or in your case here, mindlessly, you know, either not swapping up the lane assignments or mindlessly calling for Baron here. You know, you got to identify, investigate. Well, what is it that made me think this play was good? And reverse engineer.
Okay.
Do some investigating. Like, oh, that makes sense. Of course we can't do Baron into a Wukong Vlad or Ezreal. We have no turn. Our comp has no turn, or but whatever it is. So I honestly think this is largely where you're at. It's a two-part thing, right? It's the very similar to Z-Drive. It's the taking control out of the gates, using your lull states to think about what you want and think about what the win con actually is, and have a hypothesis, as well as, you know, reviewing these pivotal decisions in hindsight in the review to get into the details and figure out what is it that you're not understanding.
Yeah.
Right? And that doesn't mean your early game's flawless, right? We highlighted a lot of problems with your early lane, and you know, they should always take precedence. But if you feel as though you're in those games where you're killing it in the early lane, that's all pretty straightforward, then this is how I would really be breaking it down.
Yeah. So what would you recommend as, I guess, like a way to, like, just like a toolkit to consciously work on this objective of like commanding the game? Because obviously I could be like pinging things more, which I think I've gotten better at recently, communicating with pings, but it's really like in the mid game, especially in like those hard games where sometimes I just like don't know what the optimal play is, and like I'm not confident in making that call.
Yeah, look,
of like lane assignment or setting up vision somewhere or something like that.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, man, you know, if you're like a 0-4 Viktor, I don't expect you to make any calls, right? You're not the win con. But I think, like, the way I would frame it is this all in lull states. So what I think the learning objective is, in those lull states, press tab, identify the win con, and make the appropriate calls. Think about the next objective. So some games is going to be extremely obvious, like, okay, we're going to play for the next, like I want drag, I want Baron, I want Rift, right? It's going to be very obvious. Like, I want a side, I want hover, whatever. You're going to have these obvious games. But then, like you said, you can have those really chaotic game states where it's not obvious. There's like shit going everywhere. You know, there's no one obvious win condition, whatever. I would say in those situations, it's less about the call that you make and more about preventing shitty calls, if that makes sense. Like,
Okay.
that's like my mindset. Like, if I'm in a very chaotic game state, it's more about, let's just make sure we don't do anything stupid. Like, even if, let's say in this situation, you didn't know exactly how you were going to win this game, right? At baseline, at least you know you're not going to do Baron randomly when they're all there. Like, that's like kind of what I mean. It's like calling off plays is actually more important than saying, like, calling plays. If that makes sense.
Yeah, and then that makes my, like, if I do that consistently, then that makes my further or future reviews more effective, I would say, then as well, because then I'm like, you know, then I'm actually reviewing the alternate scenario where we're not just throwing a Baron for no reason, and then I can get into the weeds of like,
That's
oh,
right.
well,
What are we going to do
I chose to
otherwise?
split here, maybe I could have done this.
Yeah,
blah,
that's
blah,
right.
Like that kind of thing.
Because
Okay.
remember, like, I actually view most league games as like, how do I view it? It's like this. It's like, okay, if say this line represents on this top side of the lane, it's like your team is making a mistake. On the bottom side of the lane, the enemy team is making a mistake. Okay, when I am playing League, my mindset is like, I'm here to basically prevent this shit and put ourselves in a position where, even if we're not in a favorable position, at least we're waiting for the enemy to fuck up. Because, like, let's say you didn't do Baron here and you didn't know how to end the game. Chances are the enemy's going to fuck up at some point. So as long as you guys aren't fucking up first, the enemy are going to fuck up. Whether it's Wukong tries to kill the GP, and then so they overextend, and then you guys can sneak Baron. Or someone gets picked in rotation. Or someone takes a bad reset. Like, whatever it is, it's like your calls are basically, you know, preventing... It's like giving them room to fail. That's like how I view it.
Yeah, that makes sense to me, yeah.
So, yeah. So, have a think about that. That's kind of where we'll wrap it up. But, yeah, this is what we're going to have to build on, really.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something I could focus on. I think it would make a big difference because I feel definitely that's a pattern a lot in my recent games where it's just like these, like I'll review and then I see these like one or two pivotal moments that like are just terrible calls that I'm like just a bystander for, or I'm like not wanting to tell off, and then it just like makes it so much harder because I'm like, oh well, obviously I shouldn't do that, but like there's not much learning there versus like I should just be super vigilant about calling these off. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, it's a good learning objective for me. Thank you.
All right. Lovely. Great little review.